This live stream is presented to you by MaxSpeed TV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxSpeed TV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast. And we welcome everybody back here live for tonight's iSCAR Yoast Auto Sales Series event here at Lucas Oil Raceway. We're going to be doing a makeup event after a couple weeks ago from the mishap I had with my internet. But otherwise than that, glad you could tune us here tonight, here live on MaxSpeed TV. My name is Ezeckiel Reyes.
And I'm Dewey Schramm. Thank you guys for tuning in here for tonight's race. And as he mentioned, the only race here for this week as we're making up the missed event from a couple weeks ago, and this is our second trip to IRP / Lucas Oil this season. Went here with the ARCA cars a couple weeks ago, and Brody Gardner took the checkered flag there. So we'll see how different the race is this time around with the super lates as we get ourselves situated here towards the back end of practice.
Yeah, not a lot of people here for tonight, only 9 drivers lining up the field, but regardless, still an important night, no matter the race or cause, for this super late model campaign. And for all these drivers out on the racetrack, a chance to win it here tonight at IRP could grant you more points toward your championship. And we'll have to see and how it'll all turn out toward the end. Currently, Christopher Wild in number 41, fastest in practice. Dominic Howe in second. And Luke LaFaro in third.
You know, it's kind of interesting because, of course, with the only 9 cars even being in here tonight, it means that only a handful of people are really going to try to go after and maybe win this late model championship. But, with only 9 cars here, they can't even pull away from the rest of the cars in the field with how little points there are. So as you look at the points here after, I believe, 5 races, while up by 8 on Dominic Howe, but with only 9 cars here, it's going to be very hard for even Dominic to make up 8 points, whereas if we had a 25 car field, that could be made up relatively easy. So if we get to another race later on in the season where we get a much bigger turnout, even a points lead like Wiles, which may seem safe tonight, could vanish in an instant.
Yep, that is right. Dominic Howe in that number 86, only I'd say 8 points behind, and we only have 9 drivers in here. That doesn't mean Dominic Howe has a very small margin of taking the points lead by Christopher by Christopher finishing last, Dominic in first. There are bonus points available for tonight, so Dominic can still finish mid-pack even if Wild wins this race, and can still relatively keep that gap fairly close. So for all these drivers inside this, I'd say top 5, they have a viable shot of making up as much points as they can, and of course guaranteeing themselves a championship shot.
Yeah, and with the bonus points available, of course, 3 for winning, 1 for the pole, 1 for leading a lap, 1 for leading the most, and 1 for finishing with a 0x. I believe that's, 7 bonus points. So the most amount of points somebody could get tonight is only 16. So it's not going to be a whole lot. But it also means that if you have a bad finish tonight, a bad finish is subjective because you could finish last and you'll still technically get a top 10. But it also means if you have a bad finish, relatively speaking, you're not going to also fall back as much. So guys like Dominic could maybe, I wouldn't necessarily say afford, but it wouldn't hurt them as much if they finish in, 8th or 9th place, where, 8th out of 8 is a lot better than, 24th out of 24, obviously.
Yeah, it'll be interesting on how it'll all turn out once these drivers do take the checkered flag with this 90-lap event. Glad you can tune us here live on MaxSpeed TV. We're going to suit ourselves aside, though, as we play the national anthem. Rise up and remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors. And we welcome everybody back here live for the iSCAR Yost Auto Sales Series, currently live at Lucas Oil Raceway, aka O'Reilly Auto Parts Raceway, aka IRP Indianapolis Raceway Park. A lot of names
Whatever
for this
you want to
raceway.
call it, still
That's
a good
right.
track. Yeah, back here in the great old state of Indiana, plenty of racing venues, of course. The most notable being, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but Indiana has quite a few good short tracks, of course. You know, Salem, Winchester, and here tonight at IRP. No shortage of racing here. As while so far on top of the charts, Nick Miller, his SPM teammate, currently in second place. As you look at Parker White in the 095, who picked up a win this past weekend, so bit of momentum on that 095 side as he gets his way here into tonight's race.
Yeah, Indiana has a ton of venues, dirt and asphalt. I don't know if Toledo. I think that's a Wisconsin track.
That's Ohio.
Oh, that's Ohio. Well, I was totally off by a state, but I mean a couple of states. But yeah, Indiana has a lot of venues, and here, this being one of them, Lucas Oil Raceway. You mentioned Toledo as well as Winchester, and of course the birthplace of where IndyCar was made, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and of course home to the Brickyard 400 as well, which is going to be a run of the road course, which is going to be fun to see, especially on how that whole shenanigans and the clash went.
Yeah, that was certainly interesting, but it makes me jealous. I mean, I live just outside of Boston, so seeing these states that have all these different tracks, and then the only one around here is Seekonk. So I mean, there's not a lot by way of racing venues around here, but hopefully that will change one day. But in the meantime, still about a minute and a half remaining here, with Weil still on the top. Parker White was fast enough to get himself by Nick Miller, so he'll now be tentatively on the front row with our points leader. And that front row right now, those have been two of the most consistent drivers across the board all season, with both of them picking up multiple league wins and near the top of the points in multiple series. So if there's any guys that deserve to be up there right now, it's those two.
New entry into the list. Eric Heater joins in a bit late, so we'll see on how that number 28 shapes out here for tonight. But yeah, you mentioned racing venues. Indiana, probably one of the most valuable racing venue-wise. Not only on the asphalt side, of course, but on the dirt as well, where USAC was really formed up. USAC races here at this racetrack in the Silver Crown and sprint cars. They also race at Terre Haute, Bloomington, Kokomo. And of course, I'm trying to think of more off the top of my head, but there's just so many that a lot of notable tracks that are here in Indiana that are, race upon. Seems as though LaFaro and Heater hitting the track late. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to lock in a lap. So.
Well, he just won this season, of course. He picked up the season opening win at Irwindale, so we know that 28 has the ability to go out there and win a race. So we'll see if, despite coming in late, he can get his footing fairly quickly and see if he can get the job done. Looks like the warm-up is going to be skipped here for tonight. So the starting lineup here for tonight's race, Christopher Weil in the 41 and Parker White just to his outside in second.
Row number 2 going to be Nick Miller in the number 95. Kevin White Jr. in the number 13 alongside of him.
Row 3, Dominic Howe, second in points coming into tonight's race in the 86. He'll roll off fifth. And Henry Tabor, the man who should have won that LCQ at Thompson before falling out with everything else going on there, he'll be sixth.
Harry Grindle in the 70 will roll off 7th. Seth Hood right alongside of him.
And rounding at your top 10 and the entire field, Luke LaFaro in the 54 and Eric Heater in the 28. So can't say pick your favorite driver or find him and hope they win, because you've already seen everybody. It's the smallest field of the season in any series, but just as we said last week at Thompson, doesn't mean there'll be any shortage of racing. So it should still be a pretty good one out there just maybe a bit more mellow than what we've seen for the duration of the season.
Yeah, it should be just a quick 90-lap event. No heat's going to be ran here for tonight. Forgot to set them up. Apologies about that. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and set ourselves and just dive right into the main event. And for 90 laps, 10 drivers going to hit the racetrack and sing on where they're going to form up. And you see that number 41, Christopher Weil, since he's on the pole, of course, picks up an extra bonus point.
Yeah, it just adds to his points lead. So it was 8 coming into tonight. Now it is 9 at the drop of the green. So with points of the essence tonight, with only 10 people, you know, the bonus points could end up making the difference here in tonight's race. So already an extra point for that 41 before we even start the race. So definitely can't hurt him at all. And if he can stay out at least one lap, he'll get another one for leading. So the 86 starting a bit, I wouldn't say further back. I mean, 5th place is mid-pack tonight, so a bit of a different perspective here. But, you know, he's still, of course, within reaching distance to start the race off. So I would think the 86 will be pretty competitive, at least from the get-go, because, again, with how the points are, he needs to get at least one bonus point tonight to at least offset the one that Chris just got.
Yeah, we'll just see on how it'll all do coming to the end. But that number 41 going to lead the field to the green. Alongside of him, Parker White in the 095. Forgot to open up trading paints, hence why everybody's paint scheme is a bit bland. And we'll go ahead and get that reloaded and situated. You'll see a lot of refreshing, so just try to not mind that. But in the meantime of that, Weil in the 41, Parker White in the 095 will lead the field to the green. We're up and away here for 90 laps at Lucas Oil. The pace car scoots itself on in, and Weil will hold the field back to the green.
Green flag, green flag.
And Weil steps on it, and we're off and going here at Lucas Oil. Should be a quick 90 lapper here tonight with only 10 cars in the field, as Dominic washes up just a bit there in the middle of the turn. Of course, Lucas Oil, one of those tracks where the high side might be the more dominant one. And here comes Parker White on the high side. He might be able to get the lead here, but Weil sends it into the corner. But I think the 095 might have a run here out of 4.
Yeah, similar like what we saw at Thompson. I think the high side is definitely going to be key around this racetrack. Weil's trying to clear the 095, but looks like can't do so. It gets a bit tight in the center of the corner, but he's going to be locked side by side with White in the meantime of that. Weil's going to have to pinch as much as he can and wash up that 095 up the racetrack. Never mind, sends it into the corner, clears the 095, so move Weil back to the front.
Nice move there. That's what Weil just did, is pretty much the best way to pass around this track. Again, with the high side being as dominant as it is, that's going to be the key, is to try to send it in there and hope you can clear before you get out of the turn. Side by side here into 3 between Tabor and Grindle as the top 5, all single file here as they make their way out of 4.
Tabor residing himself as he tags the outside wall side by side with Heater into this corner. Oh, Tabor gets a bit tight. Just about rim riding the corner as Heater's all the way down to the bottom. This track provides a lot of racing grooves, and I love this track for a reason, in which the high side is more banked than the low side, and you saw it right there. Every inch of this racetrack is a usable racing surface.
Yeah, progressive banked tracks are certainly more the interesting ones that we go to, as Kevin White in the 13s eventually up into 4th, and I believe Dominic might have just tagged the wall and looks like he's going to make a trip down to pit road here on only lap number 5. I don't know if something just came up or if he's going to park it. I'm not sure what's going on there, but if he's parking it, an unfortunate early exit for the 86 if that is the case.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that's about. Meanwhile, up front, Kevin White and Nick Miller, I think they made contact. And Dominic finds himself on a pit road, and looks like it might be a tow for him. But in the meantime of that, Parker White is trying to catch the 41 of Weil, who's trying to secure a victory here tonight. I think his first in the super late model tour, but has a bit of right front damage. Found the outside wall earlier in 1 and 2, but still getting himself forward. So we'll just have to see on how Weil will hold on to that right front.
Yeah, the 86 of Dominic now down a lap, and he's just doing a burnout on pit road. So I think the boredom may have potentially overcome the 86 tonight. So he's probably going to end up with a 10th place run. So he's going to lose some ground to Chris as we go on board here with the 13 of Kevin White Jr. Still running P4 here as we get ourselves onto lap number 9. He's had some pretty solid runs as Miller ends up in the outside wall. That 13's been pretty good on some of those short tracks we've gone to the last couple weeks. Got a top 5 in this series at Richmond a couple weeks ago. So you know that 13 has some speed. And we'll see if he can maybe crack the top 3 before tonight's over.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I'm pretty sure Kevin is definitely going to visit Victory Lane sometime later, but it's just a matter of when and how he's going to do it. He currently resides in 4th place as of right now, so not far off the lead, but the lead is only, looks like 1.6 seconds to get that number 13.
Looks like the 95 is some pretty noticeable right side damage after finding that outside wall a lap or 2 ago as he makes his way into turn 1. Still running in 3rd at a pretty decent clip, but you don't want to hit the wall too many times because then it might start to affect the handling of the car. As looks like there's the 28 of Heater again won the season opening race at Irwindale after Hunter Johnson and Blaze Brinkley got into each other. So Heater had the points lead for about a week and then lost it, but we'll see if he can get himself further up into the field before the night's over. But for right now, running about 5 seconds back along with these other 3 cars here in this pack.
Yeah, this is Seth Hood, Luke LaFaro, Henry Tabor, all just minding their own business in their own pace, following that number 28 of Heater, who's has a relatively big gap to the number 70 of Grindle, who finds the outside wall. Speaking of outside wall, a bit of smoke there. I think Miller might have found it, and he's also blinking as well. So Kevin's going to have the opportunity to pass here for the podium.
Yeah, the field's pretty much split in half. Looks like the top 5 are all within reaching distance of each other, and those next 4, and then Dominic on pit road. Actually, I think the 86 is disconnected from the session, so that will be a last place finish for him tonight. But the 13's got a bit of a run here in the 95 with Miller hitting the wall a couple times. That's allowed the 13 to close in, and we'll see if he can make a pass here in these next couple of laps. But I think the 13 definitely is the faster one on the track right now. But we saw how Wild got by Parker White in those first few laps. I think that's how the 13 is going to have to approach this pass here.
Alright, yeah, Wild's already pulling himself a nice 2-second lead.
Yeah, he's gone.
And yeah, it's just sort of settling down here for a second as White is starting to lose this number 41. The battle for 3rd is slowly starting to heat up as Miller is blinking out severely. Can't really get a... Can't really see him out on the racetrack.
Oh, there he is. That was a very long blink. I thought maybe he fell out of the session, but he's closed in on the 095 despite the damage he has. So the 13 and the 95 starting to close in, and Harry Grindle in that 70 not that far back either. So here's the 13. He's going to try to make a move here to the inside. He won't be able to clear out of 4, but we'll see if he can get the nose in again into turn 1 and maybe try to slider and try to get that spot out of 2.
Yeah, Miller is just way too high, and Parker is just sort of boxing him in. So Kevin's going to have the opportunity to make a pass here, but he's sort of multitasking as well as Miller because Harry is right there on the backside of this number 13. So it's going to be interesting on how the 95 and the 13 can organize this situation between themselves. And can the 13 get around this number 95, and can the 95 get around the 095? As here we go for 3rd place. Miller seems as though he slipped off the corner and couldn't get to the underside of White for that spot.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those tracks where it's more difficult to make a pass with the high side being so dominant. So if you slip up like that, it's going to set you back maybe 3-4 laps before you can try to get another run to make that move. And with Miller making that mistake there, that's now allowed Kevin White to pull within about a car length to him. We'll see if the 13 is going to try it here, but I don't think he's going to get there. Oh, he's going to get into him, and he's going to hold on, but give the position to the 13, though in not the cleanest fashion, as Grindle will also take advantage and get by the 95, who gets the wall again. So Miller from 3rd now back into 5th, and Kevin White, bit of Rubbins racing there to get that spot.
Yeah, we'll see what happened there through 3 and 4. Miller, Kevin down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Miller seems as though, oh, he might came down.
Oh, yeah.
So Miller seems as though he was just trying to diamond the corner, and just came down across the nose of the 13. You see where the 13 is running. He's on the seam, and Miller's just trying to come down, and Kevin was already there. And
nice save, though. Yeah, it looked like at first the 13 might have come up, but yeah, it was staying well within his line, so bit of a mistake there for the 95, but thankfully he did hold on to that car.
Ooh.
As 7 at Tabor gets into the wall. And he's going to get the wall again, and that's going to drop him back into, I think, 6th or 7th. Hopefully we're not still in the replay.
Yeah, we're not.
There's so few cars, it's a bit hard to tell whether we're in there or not. But
yeah, we're not.
Yeah, this is for 8th, but with Tabor hitting the wall, I think this should be a pretty easy pass here for Seth Hood out of 2. But the field's pretty spread out now.
If you do get a caution though, as Heater's rim riding, my goodness. I don't think there's any tire sets since the session wasn't really set. So for while Parker if caution does come out, it's just going to play to their favor, so.
Yeah, I think tire conservation is going to end up being... I don't know how big of a factor it is with how few cars there are and how spread out everyone is. But, you know, for example, if Parker or Kevin White can maybe save tires a bit better than Weil is, that can maybe play to their advantage further down the road in this race. But for right now, it's really not going to be a factor, as here comes the 13 trying to take that 2nd spot away. Can't quite clear out of turn 2, but they're going to enter 3 almost side by side. The 13 should be able to get a run on the bottom here again, but cannot quite get there. We know that 13's got the speed, so I think in the next couple laps, he might be able to get that pass done.
We'll just have to see. As Parker, Kevin, and Harry are all trying to have gapped. That's number 95 of Miller. Peter still, well, I wouldn't say still. He was rim riding earlier, but Tabor and Seth Hood are still going at it for this spot. And you see Weil is just gone. He's just by himself, so. Ooh, Parker got a bit high off of 2. This will allow the 13 to close up on him. And we'll see what happens for this spot.
Yeah, I think 13's going to have a good run here into turn 1 to potentially make a move. Didn't quite close up enough out of 4, so he won't be able to do that quite yet. But again, I think this is another deal where the 13 is definitely the faster car, but with the way this track is, it's just so difficult to get a pass done that it might take him longer than he wants to. And he's got to be careful when he tries this, because even if he knows he has the faster car, he can't use up too much of his tires as they make a bit of contact there into 1. He can't use too much of his tires up, because if he ends up burning them up while the 095 might be trying to save him, then the 13's advantage might go away and he can't make the pass at all.
Yeah, now Parker again boxing in the 13 as Harry closes up on this situation as well. So Harry can make it 2 for 1 in this pass, but he gets tight off of 4. So for right now, they're all relatively clean, but will we see contact like what we saw with Miller and Kevin as Harry tried to nose into the high side of that number 13 and couldn't really do so. So it seems as though drivers tend to stall off of 4 trying to get to the outside of people, and Harry just can't get a nose in anywhere around this number 13.
Yeah, I'm honestly a bit surprised that it's taking Kevin White this long to get this pass done, but again, he needs to be careful of how much tire usage he's getting so he doesn't end up taking away his own advantage on the 095. But he'll try again here out of turn 4. He gets a good run on the bottom, but then the 095 gets a just as good run right on the top side, so they kind of even each other out. And as they're still side by side here in the middle of the turn, but now the 70 is starting to get into this mix, so the 13 gets a bit wobbly out of turn 2. Now the 70 is going to stick the nose up high, trying to take 3rd away up high, and I think he's going to be able to get that job done here. So put Grindle for right now, not quite into third as Kevin's trying to hold on, but the 70's got the preferred line to try to get that pass.
Oh, it seems as though Kevin has the exit off the corner, but Harry still had the nose in there right off, so I think Harry is going to scoot himself into third as Miller made up the gap between himself and Kevin, and he's gunning for this position back, so Redemption at its finest. This 95 is trying to work around this 13. We'll see how to go.
Yeah, Miller fell a bit back.
Oh!
When he it looks like he just put the 13 in the wall, so we saw the 95 might have come down a bit, but I think Nick Miller might be feeling otherwise. And I think there may have been a bit of payback there for the 13 in his eyes, so that'll be something to watch. But even though Nick did that, he didn't even get by him. He put Kevin White in the wall, but the 13 held onto the spot. So I don't know if that went as intended for Nick, but you can tell he's definitely not thrilled with how he thinks Kevin White raced him.
Yeah, and they're still all grouped together. Parker has still retained second spot for right now, but oh, Harry, Kevin, and Miller have been all over this 095, and Wiles just by himself, I think, 5 seconds ahead as White finds the outside wall. They'll go side by side for fourth.
As Kevin gets the wall, and here comes Nick on the bottom. So we'll see if the 95... Oh, when he pulls a slider, and the Kevin White's going to cross over, and Nick's just going to let him go. So Kevin goes back into fourth right as the 95 got there. I don't know why Nick let off that much, because he just cost himself quite a bit of time, but now he'll have to try to gain that ground back up again. And meanwhile, here comes Grindle. He's trying to close in on Parker White now for second. So that's 70 now. He's got a pretty good run going for himself. Of course, picked up a win in the last Super Late Model season, so they're trying to make it 2 seasons in a row in these cars. They can at least score 1 win. But still quite a ways back from Christopher Wow right now.
Harry's not letting go of this 095 as they situate out for that fourth position. Harry just needs to find the right line through the corner. Oh, into the wall he goes. He bounced off the wall at a good enough angle in which he's gonna have the run, but now he loses it off the corner. So
it helped him for about half a second. Always gonna hit the wall again. Got it again there in the middle of the turn. And something happened to Heater. He's on pit road now, 3 down. I think he may have disconnected as well. So I think we're now down to just 8 cars out of the track. As Wiles' lead, actually his lead just shrunk a bit. That was around 4.5, and now it's down to about 3.5. So I think the 41 might have tagged the wall somewhere. Still quite a large lead, but a good amount of it just got cut out. So I think he may have hit the wall at some point. But again, still quite a ways ahead of these 4 cars. Yeah,
so with Heater and Dominic out, they're still fighting it out for 7th spot. Tabor and Seth have been swapping spots, and you see, well, not too far behind, only, I'd say a couple turns ahead of those drivers as White. See how high he is running off the corner. I want to see the difference in line of where Weil is running versus where Parker is. This is probably what the difference maker is through the corner. Typically, you want to run to the middle portion of the racetrack in 3 and 4, but in turns 1 and 2, that's where you really want to diamond it. It's just the way the track is sort of banked and how it goes, and Weil just using up all the racetrack, and right here, he's doing a perfect flat arc off the corner to get the good run down the back straightaway like he needs, but in 3 and 4, you're just running, you're hugging middle, but he's sort of replicating what he's doing in 1 and 2, but he's still up to 5 seconds, but in the meantime, everybody else is just as high as they could be. They need to sort of replicate what this number 41 of Weil has found on the racetrack, but unfortunately, I don't even know if they could even see this 41 anymore. This 41 is now 4.2 seconds ahead of these 4 drivers.
Well, apparently Christopher's also trying to save fuel right now, even though he's 4+ seconds ahead. So that tells me that these guys are not good on fuel to the end. So maybe for the 41 is trying to save enough fuel, or he may not have to pit. Where if these guys may not be fully aware of that, they might have to, and that will just make Chris's lead even larger.
But does Chris have to pit?
Yeah. maybe we'll see if he can save enough to make it to the end. But with the way these guys are racing, it doesn't look like they're saving at all.
No way, as
And
Harry...
that was a bad corner for Harry. He just dropped 2 spots.
Yeah, Harry went from 3rd to 5th. Kevin and Miller just took the opportunity to whip by for that spot, as Miller might have found the outside wall, but in the meantime of that, still looking around this 13, as White is doing a nice job of defending that high side, leaving a lot of bottom open and not a lot of room up top, but of course they could make some room for a dive bomb as Parker finds the outside wall. We'll see what Kevin could do off of this situation. Still clears off the corner.
Oh, and Miller just got the wall there.
I think Kevin was trying to file back in line and turn right in front of the 95's nose.
So the 95 and the 13 get into each other again. Oh boy, Nick is there.
Man.
I don't know. I wonder if we saw him put him in the wall last time. I don't know if we'll see something just like it, or maybe a bit worse if he gets into him again. But they're all over each other. These 4 have been really, really nicely racing here for the last 5-10 laps. And now they're all under each other here in a blanket. And we'll see if one of them can do a slider. But Parker gets the wall again. And now Kevin will inch closer out of the corner.
Yeah, Kevin has a real opportunity into 3, but unfortunately he cut down low and lost all that momentum. What he needs to do is try to file back and sort of get back up the corner to get the run on the on the straightaways like he needed. But he's sort of multitasking as well with the 95 just all over him, and Kevin's just pushing a bit too much in the center of the corner. You see right there, he lost a lot off of exit. He needs to sort of retrace his marks and get back into a rhythm.
Yeah, I think Kevin might be a bit worried about the 95 potentially getting into him into the turn while also trying to get by the 095. So, yeah, I think that multitasking you're talking about definitely a factor right now. He's got a shot here into 3 as he gets the nose and out of 2, but will foul right back in line. So he gets even about midway through the turn, but just can't make it stick on corner exit and has to foul back in lines. And that's what makes this track so tricky to pass at, is you can get a good run onto the bottom, but clearing before the turn, or the exit of the turn, is the most important part. And so far, Kevin White has not been able to do that.
Miller's just trying to nose to the high side of this number 13. He's not letting him go. Might even be pushing him into the corner. Oh, whoa. Kevin got to the underside of Parker.
I think Nick pushed him to the underside of Parker.
Kevin's going to have to dive bomb into the corner.
Can he finally get it done? Ooh, I don't think he's going to get there quite yet. And yeah. And now Nick's got the nose up high. 95 played that perfectly. And now Kevin's going to probably lose 3rd place right here. And Grindle might follow the 95 around out of 4.
That was a perfect move.
So that was... Nick played that absolutely perfectly.
That's right, and see Kevin just slip up on the bottom side. He's just so tight on the bottom.
And that just held up the 70 a little bit. And now he's in the wall, so the 70 should be able to get 3rd here. Or 4th, actually. And he will clear for that spot. So now Nick can try to focus on getting by his fellow 95. As here's LaFaro and Seth Hood. So it looks like Tabor might get lapped here in the next couple of laps. And you can see the gap between Parker White and Weil has started to shrink a bit more. Now down about 3.1 seconds. I think that 41 definitely is trying to save as much fuel as possible to try to make it all the way without having to pit at all.
Kevin disappeared. I don't know where he is, but he's now down to 8th.
He might have fallen out because he's now a lap down, not even on the track. I think he may have fallen out or something, which is really too bad because he was having a stellar run up here. So that'll be one less car battling here.
Whoa!
Oh, and Miller and Parker almost get into each other there out of turn 4. And they have taken another second off of Weil's lead. It's only 2.2 seconds now. So I think that 41 might be in full save mode here. We'll have to see.
It's interesting how people have to save in a late model race. Yeah, you see Weil is right there now, so...
They're not saving at all. I think these guys, the way they're racing, are... I don't know what the fuel window is because we didn't even anticipate we were going to have one.
Me neither, so I'm just...
But I don't know how this is going to go at all. I mean, if these guys have to pit, there's no way to know when they're going to have to. And with the way Weil is saving, if these three have to pit at some point in the race, it creates the possibility that Weil could potentially try to save enough to try to make it all the way, while these three might have to pit at some point. So that leads now only about a second and a half. So I almost wonder now if Weil might be willing to let these three guys by and let them race it out, and then when they have to pit, just coast along and take the lead back and try to hold on all the way.
Not really sure if you want to play a fuel gamble in that number 41's case. Again, a potential caution could come out during this, during that
It's
cycle.
a very
So
risky gamble.
that's right. So he's sort of in a odd situation. He's not in the place where he wants to be, but he's up front anyway. So
Yeah, with
if everybody has to pit, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a fuel only stop. But the way these cars fuel are very interesting. They don't fuel at as fast as a NASCAR vehicle does. They fuel at a very slow rate. So the question is, what kind of numbers are these drivers gonna pick to get themselves to the end?
Well, it makes me wonder that if somebody decides to get a certain amount of fuel in there, if they just decide to slap 2 on there while they're at it, if it doesn't take any longer, as Grindle gets the wall there in the middle of the turn, but doesn't look like it's going to hurt him a whole lot. But with how quickly this race has gone by, of course, it's gone caution-free up until this point. There's only 25 laps to go at the line. We've already gone through 64 laps of this race, so it's been a very, very quick one so far. And so time is actually... Oh! 95 into 3? Holy crap, how did he hold on to that car?
Oh my gosh! He still kept the position too, but Harry's just gonna fling it down low, and my goodness, that was a save by the 95, and he falls in the hands of 4th place, or maybe tries to as Harry scoots up right in front of the 95.
Man, he Tokyo drifted that through the entire corner. That was really impressive, and it looks like Nick's gonna fling it down pit road here. So an interesting call here for the 95 to pit when he is, as Weil has put the 7 of Tabor a lap down. But man, I cannot believe he held onto that car. That was really impressive.
Look at that.
Just dead sideways and drifts it through the whole corner, and for at least a brief moment holds onto the car. And it looks like Miller has overshot his pit stall, and that's probably going to cost him any chance at winning the race tonight, as Tabor hits pit road from I think 7th place a lap down, so he's going to lose probably another one here while completing his stop. And I think Nick might have taken 4. I'm not sure.
Fuel only, so...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in a situation, in a super late model, I think it's just fuel only as well. That's a good gamble, and he took 7 seconds of fuel. That's going to be the number that we're going to have to watch, as Tabor's in and out for 13 seconds, so you don't want to pull what Tabor did, and... he might... No, I don't think he took tires, because four tires is going to take 20 seconds.
13 seconds for fuel only seems awfully fast. Maybe he took 2 tires versus 4.
Yeah, maybe for like a 10-second pit stop, that might be 2 tires.
So we're going to come up on 20 laps to go in just, I think, 2 laps from now. And you see that lead between the 41 and the 095 is starting to shrink even more. Actually, it's still about a second and a half. It's actually evened out a bit. But with Nick pitting when he did, that means he's still stuck a lap down. As Seth Hood makes his way from pit road, he's in 5th. And he is now going to go a lap down as well, and he'll get passed by Nick there for P5. So Weil, Parker White, Grindle, and LaFaro have yet to pit, and the other 3 cars on track have.
Oh, Seth elects with tires, so... And we'll see how many seconds. It was 11 seconds. Oh, he's taking 4.
He's taking 4. Yeah, but this is going to cost him 2. He's already 2 down. He might get lapped again here. So 23-second stop. He might go 3 laps down here. I don't know about that call, but we'll see how it plays out. Under 20 to go, though. Parker White is there. And at this point, you can tell Weil is in absolutely full save mode. He's trying to save as much as he can to make it to the end of the race. And We'll see if Parker and Harry decide to do the same, but man, that lead of over 4 seconds is gone now. And I think Weil might end up letting Parker by here in the next couple laps.
The question is there going to be contact made between these two? But I think the number to watch is Nick Miller's 7.4 second pit stop. If anybody gets under a 7.4 second pit stop, I think they're going to be set to play off an interesting fuel gamble. But if
I think to me what's going to make this interesting is you can tell that Weil's trying to save fuel, but with only 17 laps to go, or 16 now, it could potentially present a situation where, you know, with this few laps to go, if Weil decides to step on it again to try to hold off Parker White, could we end up in a situation where they just run out trying to make it to the end the way they are?
Yeah, and
because
if they do run out, if they do have to pit, these top three are saving fuel. Miller is making up time on the racetrack by, you know, them saving fuel. So if they all cycled, can these three be in front of that 95?
Well, and you see how close Miller is to those top three despite being a lap down. So if these three cars have to pit, that's going to basically hand Miller the lead on a silver platter. And probably the win with the amount of laps left.
Yeah, I mean, he's just making up time. He's just so fast on the racetrack because these three have to save, so... If you had to hit pit road, it had to be now when Miller hit pit road. So he could be even with that strategy, as Harry's going to gun here for second.
Yeah, at this point of the race, with only 13 laps to go, if you can't pit now unless you actually run out of fuel. Because again, with the 95 there, if you come down pit road, he's going to unlap himself and then take the lead. Because even with a 7-second stop, you have to consider, of course, all the time spent getting in and off of pit road itself. So only 12 to go now. And we'll see if these top three can save enough to get it to the end. But it's going to be awfully close, as I think Miller's going to end up unlapping himself before this thing's over.
Miller just went into the backside of the 095. Parker is just sort of boxing him in. And Harry is slowly closing the gap between himself and Weil. So seems as though... Oh, as Parker's going to let Miller by. Had to do that because Miller was way faster than him. So 10 laps to go. Seems as though this was the mark in which everybody had to hit pit road. So it's... Oh, Miller finds the outside wall. That's not what you want to do, but I'm interested to see on how this will all play out. If Weil used too much fuel on that first run, and I mean on that first half of the race. So yeah, this is interesting. I didn't expect it to play out in a fuel scenario, but here we are. And
only 10 to go, coming to 9. I mean, they've made it now 80 laps. Could they make it just 10 more?
Harry's there.
And again, maybe we could see Harry potentially steal the win away. As I think this... I don't know if this is a battle for position. No, it's not. Tabor's, I think, 2 down. So I think Parker White's trying to save. I think the 095 might be thinking that the 41 and the 70 can't make it where they're racing right now. So he might be trying to save a bit more. Because if these top two run out, then it'll be Parker that ends up winning rather than Nick.
Yeah,
so if these two can make it. And Harry
hits pit road. So, wow, that's 8 laps to go. And
so this is going to put him, I think, just in, 4th or 5th place.
So that, with that being said, I think Weil has to hit pit road, but Weil's playing the gamble on, I guess, staying out. And with Parker, he definitely was saving fuel. So I think Parker is in the best economy right now, rather than Weil.
6 to go at the line as LaFaro hits pit road. As Harry with a 9.5 second stop. So Harry's going to go down a lap here.
And he lost the position to Miller, so...
Yeah, Nick unlapped himself.
Oh, my.
And this is going to come really down to the wire.
Yeah.
As Parker's gaining on Chris. Only 5 to go at the line. Can they make it just 5 more laps? But You know, we just saw Harry have to come down, even though Parker's trying to save fuel. With all that racing he did earlier with Harry, Nick, and Kevin White, is it not going to be enough? Because the 41 was so far away by himself, he was able to save and let that lead evaporate. I don't know if Parker could potentially save enough, but with only 4 to go, it's going to be super close.
Yeah. Just sort of a question. I mean, if they do have to hit pit road, it's going to hand Miller the win. And Harry's second place, but how short is their pit stop going to be? I think you could just make it on 2 gallons from this point forward, as well is all over LaFaro for this spot. 3 laps to go. I think if you have to push the issue now, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, Parker can't save anymore. He's got to go now. Because he's got to make up that time that separates them right now and then actually get by him. So Parker cannot afford to save any longer. Only 2 to go. Can they make it?
Wall can't do the same either. He has to push the issue.
Yeah, I think they're both gunning for it now. They can't save any longer. As they make their way into 3.
That's going to be it,
well,
so...
Here we go. White flag here at IRP / Lucas Oil / O'Reilly Auto Park, whatever. Can Christopher Weil make it one more lap around, or is heartbreak going to hit him here?
I don't know. It's been a green race from start to finish, and it seems as though the 41 has saved enough fuel.
Wow.
And he'll make it all the way to the end. I'm very surprised about that. So off of turn number 4, Weil wins here at Lucas Oil.
What a run for him. Got it done. Saved enough fuel as Parker White did as well. And congratulations to the 41. Ended up leading, I think, every single lap of this race except for 1 or 2. So the fuel-saving strategy works out for him. And hopefully he has enough fuel left to do a burnout.
Yeah, that's a surprise he made it all the way to the end, considering the fuel run that was in question. But full results shown on your screen. It's Weil, White, Miller, Grindle, Tabor, LaFaro, Hood, White, Heater, and Howe rounding out.
That's it. That's the whole field.
the whole order. So congratulations to that number 41. We'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned. There's more to come here as we interview out the top 3.
Earnhardt, the defending champion, a man who has won here at this racetrack. He has been absolutely second to none in 1987.
Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win, his 4th win of 1987 out of 6. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 at North Wilkesboro.
Everyone's wondering what can stop Dale Earnhardt. He's on a roll, 4 wins and 6 starts. I mean, is there anybody can handle you?
There may be a little more here underneath the sheet metal.
Well, I'm sure this afternoon we'll know a lot more, and we've got 500 miles to run. We'll see what happens.
Good luck today.
A magnificent 19th annual $500,000 Talladega 500 is won by Dawsonville, Georgia's Bill Elliott, and the siren is beginning to ring. You'll probably hear it in Dahlonega. Bill Elliott has won. Davey Allison second.
Elliott now getting a challenge from Tim Richmond, but he closes again right in behind Earnhardt, coming down off turn 4. And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible. Decent driving by Earnhardt. 7 laps to go. Earnhardt went on the grass.
Dale Earnhardt is reminding Mr. Elliott, you make one mess up like that, and I might get through.
When you come to North Wilkesboro on a short racetrack, you expect some fender to fender and even some paint trading going on out there. We've seen it already as Red 9 gave Jerry Cranmer a nudge in the rear end, and now we're seeing some great
We welcome everybody back here live for tonight's iSCAR event. iSCAR US Auto Sales Series running itself out here in the Lucas Oil Raceway Park O'Reilly complex. I don't even know anymore. But in the meantime of that, congratulations to the 41 of WoW, who picks up his another victory. No surprise here tonight at IRP. And we'll go ahead and slide him into the booth here for tonight. And I think, Dewey, it's more appropriate for you to interview your team driver.
Oh, geez, you're gonna put put the bias front and center here, but well, I'll drag him in here anyway. Chris, got a copy?
Yeah, I sure do.
Man, job well done tonight. Led all but one lap here from the pole, and you were able to save enough fuel to make yourself get to the end and win. But apparently, you ran up right at the line.
Yeah, I did.
About as close to a call as possible.
Yeah, it was a tough race. At the drop of the flag, I didn't realize we were short on fuel, and then about 20 laps in, I checked and saw, hey, I'm like, I don't know, about 2 gallons short. I've got like a 4.5 second lead. Maybe I should just start saving and kind of see if I can save enough, manage this lead, and roll it to the end. And I went into hard saving mode, tried to keep the lead about 3 to 4 seconds. And once we started getting towards the end there, I had to keep saving a little bit harder. And I kind of kept tabs on who was saving and who wasn't. So like I knew Harry didn't save fuel and he was coming up on me fast at the end there, but I knew if I let him by, he'd have to pit anyway. So it didn't concern me that much. But yeah, if I had pit, Parker would have gotten it. So I definitely picked the right strategy in the end.
Yeah, because I know Parker was trying to save fuel too, but with him racing all those other guys, he wasn't really in a situation where he could the way you did. But with, of course, Dominic Howe only finishing in 10th place tonight and you winning, you've extended your points lead some more. So what are you going to have to do over these last 4 races to try to get yourself another championship?
I gotta just keep it clean and up front, get the right strategies, and try to have another night like tonight. I found a weird line that just worked so well at this track. I didn't think it would work, because usually the wall is the best groove here. But for whatever reason, kind of diamonding the corner hard, like sending it in low, washing up to the wall, and exiting low again, that really worked well. And I don't think many other people figured that out by the time we started racing. So that gave me a huge advantage in qualifying and the race.
Well, it worked out for you in the end, of course. Absolutely dominating performance here in tonight's race. And before we let you go tonight, any sponsors you want to thank here?
Yeah, I always give a shout out to my Schramm Poindexter Motorsports teammates. It's an awesome team. I have awesome teammates. I couldn't ask for anything better. Shout out to Nick Miller for being a good teammate. And he was trying to convince me to pit. He said I was making the whole race boring, but, you know, from where I'm sitting, this is pretty good.
Yeah, well, sometimes winning the race is a lot better than making the race interesting, and in this case, that is certainly true. Christopher Weil, your race winner here tonight here at IRP. Hope to see you back here next week at Martinsville.
Yep, see you then.
That was Christopher Weil in the number 41. We'll screw ourselves back one position to Parker White in the 095, who was in the same boat as that number 41 of Weil, trying to save all the way to the end. And it seems as though he did save enough coming to the end, but unfortunately was just short of the strategy to pick up the win here tonight. Parker, got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Parker, congratulations on finishing second place here for tonight. And it was a fairly interesting race, of course, green from start to finish, unlike some most iSCAR events. But otherwise than that, you were racing around where that big pack was with Miller, Harry, and Kevin. Just describe to me about the line throughout the racetrack and how it all shaped out to you.
Yeah, the line you kind of wanted to run here was the top and try to, like, because the banking changes from the bottom of the track, probably in like the middle of the track, and you kind of wanted to get down to where the banking kind of flattens out, but maybe not get like completely on the banking and get the car rotated off the corner. But I was actually trying to save most of that race because I remember probably around like lap 5, I looked down at my fuel calculator and it says I need to save about 1 gallon. So I immediately started clutching, and right off, I think I saved like half a gallon, which was like halfway that I needed to save. And then I think we got around like halfway, and like I just wasn't able to save anymore for some reason. Like I was doing the same thing, and it said I needed the same amount of fuel like every lap. So eventually, I started just like shutting the car off like halfway down the straightaway and just clutching, which was kind of holding up the guys behind me. But through the corner, I feel like I kind of gained that spot back, that time back, and like turning the car back on mid corner was kind of sketchy because like you'd have to dump the clutch because if I didn't want to do that, then I'd have to like hit my start button, get the car fired up again, which I didn't want to do every corner. So that actually kind of helped turning the car because when I would dump the clutch, it would step the rear end out and get the car pointed off the corner. But I remember Chris actually had like a 4 or 5 second lead at one point, and I knew that if he'd never saved and I saved, that I might have a shot at the win. And like I haven't made a start here in the Super Late Model Series yet, so I was just gonna just like go full save mode and see if I could steal one here tonight. But then Chris eventually started saving like really hard because he had such a big lead, and I ran out with like half a lap to go at the end of the race, and I think he was able to make it all the way to the line. So he did a pretty good job of saving fuel and keeping pace up there. But yeah, for our first start in the Super Late Model Series season, I think we did a pretty good job.
Yep, that's right. A second place to cap off the night here at IRP. Of course, the first start here tonight in the Super Late Model Tour. What you think of the Super Late?
Yeah, I really like racing the Super Late Model whenever I get the chance to. I've just been busy basically every Wednesday night, so I wasn't able to run before, but I had this Wednesday night off, so I thought I'd come run. I thought it'd be a fun race. It came down to fuel strategy, so I thought it was a pretty fun race tonight.
All right, but 10 for Parker White in the 095. Rams himself out in second place. Before we let go, I just want to thank you for tonight. Yeah,
I've got to thank my team, Merrill Motorsports. I've got to thank them for signing me after McGrath Simsport shut down. Very nice team so far. I've really liked my experience with them so far. And I've got to thank Bunch of Lawn Care and EO Media as always for being on the car. And of course, I've got to thank you guys up here at Max PTV for all the broadcasts every week.
All right, bud. 10 for Parker White in the 095. Wrapping himself out in second place. Go ahead and see you coming in next race, bud.
All right, thank you.
Screw ourselves back one more position to the 95, and Nick Miller rounds himself out in third.
All right, Nick, got a copy? Yeah, you were racing pretty hard with Kevin and Harry and Parker White, but if you weren't able to save enough fuel to the end. Do you think with all that racing you couldn't save, or just decide not to and just hope they had to pit at some point?
I was never going to pit. I mean, not pit. I was never going to save the fuel. I was just going to go ahead and pit. I was kind of hoping that Parker and Chris would have ran out, and I could have got back to them. So that was my original strategy. I really don't think we could have saved fuel because I know Parker was, but between Kevin, I couldn't save fuel. It's constantly getting moved by him. So
yeah, it was quite the battle you two were having, but you end up with the upper hand as he left early before the race was over. But after tonight, I think you're in the top 3 or 4 in points. So what are you gonna have to do over these last handful of races? Try to catch a teammate, maybe get the championship away from him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we need Chris to wreck because he's so far ahead and the car counts are so small, it doesn't even really matter. I pretty much him to wreck. I kind of wish tonight's race I would have been able to get past Parker because I think I would have had something for a wheel. Because once I pitted and had the clean track, I was able to catch back up to those guys.
Yeah, you were much faster on those newer tires, of course, too, but just not quite enough. But third, nothing to be ashamed of at all. That's right. Took fuel only. Yeah.
Took fuel only, and then
yeah. We don't talk about that. All right. Well, third place still pretty good though, points wise, and for just finishing in third. Before we go tonight, any sponsors you want to thank here?
SPM. That's about it. It's kind of just me and Chris. So.
All right, short and sweet. Nick Miller, P3 here tonight at IRP/Lucas Oil /Del Rally Raceway Park. Hope to see you back here for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that was Nick Miller.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap it up. Nothing happening over this weekend, so Dewey, lead us off to the ending.
Yeah, of course, this is supposed to be an off week for Daytona, so this was just a makeup event. So that is it here for the weekend. hopefully all of you enjoy the weekend full of races at Daytona.
Whoop, whoop.
Congrats to Alex Bowman on winning the pole. We're finally back here. The NASCAR season will be in full gear here this weekend, so be sure to sit back and enjoy those races. As for us, we'll be back here same time next Wednesday night for the Chuck Anderson Ford Super Late Model Tour. We'll be at Martinsville, and that should be a pretty good race. But thank you all for tuning in here for tonight's race. Congrats once again to Christopher Weil on winning and leading all but one lap here in tonight's race. And for Ezeckiel Reyes, I am Dewey Schramm. Thanks for watching.